Hello 7th grade again. This is your English teacher Dana from Ru'al Farouk Academy. Today we are going to start with a new lesson of our unit. This is about grammar. We are going to talk about the articles. So what are the articles and how can we use them? Let's start with them in this video. The outcomes of our lesson today, students should be able to recognize the articles, what are the articles, and recognize the use of the articles, then practice the rule. So my students, let's start with the articles. Before talking about what are the articles, let's know that the articles اللي هم أدوات التعريف divided in two types. What are these types? Indefinite and indefinite articles. What are the articles? In English we have three articles. They are a, an, and the. A, an, and the. These are the articles in English. You have to know that the articles used to describe one or a number of things. Indefinite and definite articles used to describe عشان توصف لنا one or a number of things. What are the use of each one? Let's start with the examples about each article and recognize the use of them. Now let's take some examples. Look at the first one. Do you have a cat? Do you have a cat? Look at the article a. We use a if we want to talk about something in general or not a specific something. So here cat, we don't know which cat we are talking about. So إشي مش محدد cat, any cat. Okay. Look at the second example. Do you have an apple? Also here, an. This is the article apple. We don't know which apple we are talking about. We are talking about an apple in general, not a specific apple. ما حددنا الأبل اللي عم نحكي عنها or الكات اللي عم نحكي عنها. So we use a or an with the something that is unspecific or general. But what is the difference between them? We use a with the nouns that start with consonant بحرف ساكن, so بنستخدم a. But an, we use it if we want to know or to mention the nouns that start with vowel letters like a, u, e, I, or o. So these two nouns are singular. So we use a and an with the something that is non-specific or in general with singular nouns. We call these two articles indefinite articles. Look at this door. If we want to talk about a specific thing, we use the. So we know which door we are talking about. عارفين مين الدور اللي عم نحكي عنه. So we use the in this situation. I closed the door. Which door we are talking about? Yes, this door. I determine which door we are talking about, so we use the. The used with countable, uncountable nouns, singular or plural nouns. لكن الفرق بين الارticles a, an and the, a and an نحكي عن الإشي بشكل عام, ما بنحدد شو هو الإشي اللي عم نحكي عنه, but the we determine which thing we are talking about. أو a specific thing. So we call the article the definite article. أداة تعريف تعرف لنا عن الإشي اللي عم نحكي عنه. This is a specific, so we know which door we are talking about. So the first use of the articles, the definite article to talk about specific things. So we use the, so the writer, speaker, or reader know about it. But indefinite article to talk about something non-specific or in general. So we use a or an, and we talked about the difference between a and an with the vowel letters and a with the consonant. Now the second use of the articles, look at the picture. We want to mention it for the first time. أول مرة راح أذكره, and this is a singular noun. So we say a monster, a monster. So we talked about this thing for the first time. If we want to mention it again, we use the monster. We mentioned it previously, so if we want to mention it again, we use the monster. So الأولى ذكرناه لأول مرة, and this is a singular noun. If we want, إذا بدنا نذكر هذا نفس الشيء مرة تانية, نستخدم the and the noun. So we have two sentences that we use in this picture. It's a monster for the first time. We want to mention it again. We use the monster لأنه already صار معروف عن أنه monster وإحنا عم نحكي. When we don't use any article from the articles that we talked about, no article. We don't put any article if we have a plural noun or uncountable noun that we are speaking in general. So we said that if we want to mention something again, we use the. And we use with a and an singular nouns. Okay, what about the things that we mentioned for the first time, but these things are plural or uncountable? Do we use the? Of course, no. Look at this example. We can't live without water. Water is uncountable noun. So we don't put the because we mentioned this thing for the first time. إذا إحنا حكينا أو ذكرناه لأول مرة لهذا الاسم الغير معدود. So we don't put the, we use no article. So water is uncountable noun. We said that with uncountable noun we use the, but if we mentioned it or talked about it for the first time, we don't use any article. But if we want to mention water in the second sentence or in other sentence, we use that, like this sentence. We can't live without water. We want to mention water again, so we use the water in our city is important. So بالأول sentence ما حكينا أو ما ذكرنا قبل الwater نذكرها لأول مرة وهي uncountable noun, so we don't put any article. But if we want to talk about water again, we use the. So in this situation, we use the because we mentioned it before. So this is a table, this is a summary about what we talked about in this class, the indefinite articles and definite article. A and an indefinite, so we use them with countable nouns, and a with words which start with consonant, and with the nouns that start with vowel, as we said, and we use them to talk about something in general, non-specific or mentioned for the first time. But the with countable and uncountable nouns, يعني singular or plural nouns, but we use it with the things that we know or mentioned it before. Now, my students, let's practice the rule, the articles. We want to complete these sentences by using a correct article, a, an, or the. Let's start with number one. My mother is doctor and my father is author. Here, my students, we mentioned these information for the first time, so we have to put yes, a or an. It depends on the letter that the noun starts with. Here we have a doctor and a. It's a vowel, so an. So my mother is a doctor and my father is an author. Number 2, Mary recommended good dentist. We mentioned it for the first time, so we use a. Excellent. But dentist, it's for the second time, so yes, but the dentist doesn't have any openings for 2 months. So here we mentioned the dentist again, so we know which dentist we are talking about, so we use the. Number 3, Sam recommended book to Lisa. Book for the first time, so we have to use a. Book. She didn't like the book at all because we mentioned it again in the second sentence. Number 4, Mom, where is the vacuum or a vacuum? Of course, we are talking about a specific vacuum, so we have to use the because we know which vacuum we are talking about. I can't find it. It was in, yes, it's a closet. We know which closet we are talking about. It's a specific closet, so we have to use the in these 2 sentences. Mom, where is the vacuum? I can't find it. It was in the closet, but now it's not there. There is what big bear in backyard. We know which backyard we are talking about, but big bear it mentioned for the first time. So there is a big bear in the backyard. I think here we mentioned bear again, so we have to use the. Excellent. So there is a big bear in the backyard. I think the bear is looking for something to eat. The last one, do you have computer? I have laptop and iPad. So do you have, of course, a computer and I have a laptop and iPad. An iPad, why? Because we have a vowel. So we mentioned these things for the first time, so we use the articles, indefinite articles, a, and, an. I want you, my students, to write these sentences in your notebook, and this is the last thing that we are going to talk about in this class. Thank you and be ready for the next class.